Zaldrizes Buzdaris Gosdau.
House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 4 is going to be amazing. Like, legit, no kidding. It will probably go down as the best episode of the series so far. The main reason why I say that is because battles. I'm a sucker for battles. You're a sucker for battles. We want to see these dragons battle. And this, Episode 4 Season 2, will be the first episode that these dragons fully lock and engage in battle. Now, you're probably like, dude, what about Season 1, Episode 10? That didn't count. That was not a battle. That was a chase sequence followed by a utter destruction of another dragon. So this is going to be the first somewhat equal of a fight. In this video, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the scenes that we saw from the preview trailer, but mostly the leaked scenes. Before I jump into any of that, do me a massive favor. One thing, if you enjoy this video, slap a like on it. Like goal is going to be 420. Get it? Also, after you watch it, if you like it even further, you want to take it a step further, subscribe to me here on YouTube, please. Okay, so some of the scenes that we see in the preview trailer, most of them are all scenes from the Battle of Rook's Rest, right? There was actually a couple people in the comment section, in the chat section of my live stream that I did last night, breaking down episode 2, or episode 3 rather, that were saying, yo, Rook's Rest battle is going to happen in episode 5, and then they started talking about some of the scenes in the preview make it seem like episode 4 is going to be setting up the Battle of Rook's Rest. That might be true, although it's probably highly unlikely not. The main reason being is because you see this is one of the scenes that I wanted to talk about. That is Sir Criston Cole cutting off the head of Lord Staunton. Now you're probably like, who's Lord Staunton? Well, we actually saw him, Season 1, Episode 10. Lord Staunton is the Lord of Rook's Rest, and the only way that we'd be seeing the Lord Staunton of Rook's Rest being beheaded is post the Battle of Rook's Rest. All of these scenes and sequences of the armies setting up, lining to prepare, the Sunfire shot flying over this city, King's Landing, and like obviously clearly Aegon's on it and leaving. Then we had a couple shots of Vhagar flying through the clouds, and we saw Rhaenys going to mount up for melees. That's not gonna all be build up for episode 5. No, that all happens in this episode. That's all gonna be like the first 10 to 20 minutes. They're gonna be setting up the battle. I think the actual dragon fight sequence is going to be something like 10 to 15 minutes long. Like, according to some of the leaks that have actually been sent through the DMs, this fight sequence is going to be shot in broad daylight. We're going to see it from every single angle, and it will be the most spectacular thing that we've ever seen from anything from Game of Thrones, or obviously from House of the Dragon. There's only been one season. That's just what the leaks have been saying. So I know, obviously, we need to temper that, right? We got some hot steel, we banged it out, it's all ready, it's getting us hype, it's getting excited. Now we need to douse it in cold water, because let's be realistic, it will be a spectacular showcase of amazing CGI sequences, but it's gonna be hard to beat some of the biggest things about Game of Thrones show, one of them being like the battle sequences and Battle of the Bastards. That's gonna be pretty hard for them to beat in episode 4, but we'll see. One of the other sequences that played in the trailer, I'm gonna talk about some more of the leaks here in a second, but was Daemon walking up to the Iron Throne room. Now, continuing with what was going on with Daemon in Harrenhal, if you want a history of Harrenhal, like I said, go watch my episode 3 live breakdown. It's linked down below in the description. It's 3 hours of me just reacting live to the episode, and then also talking about everything A Song of Ice and Fire. So go watch that if you want to break down Harrenhal. But basically, Daemon is literally being, I don't really want to say tortured and tormented, but he's kind of being like played by Alice Rivers. Alice Rivers is giving him visions, and maybe we'll find out that she might have slipped some kind of poison or hallucinogenic into his wine or something. Harrenhal is said to have ghosts, but when you look at the actual history of it, no, it's just a terrible place in a terrible location, and events that happen in Harrenhal happen all over Westeros, but Harrenhal just has a better track record of keeping those history of events more public, right? Almost every single house that has ruled from Harrenhal has had some tragic end to it. So obviously there's going to be something that goes along with it. But anyway, it looks like Daemon is still being manipulated and influenced, in one of the vision sequences that he has in episode 4 is going to be him walking up to the Iron Throne. There's supposed to be a bit of a flashback sequence with the actor who played Aemma Arryn, and there's a bit of a romantic scene between her and Daemon or something. Like, there might be alluding to the fact that Daemon could have hooked up with Aemma Arryn when her and Viserys were together. I don't know if that's the case. We do have that shot of the crown hitting the floor in front of the Iron Throne, and then the voiceover over in here saying, whatever I've just done, like what I've just done, there's no coming back from it. Like she says, the horrors that I have just unleashed cannot be only worth a crown. Like, that's literally, there's no coming back from this, and it can't just be for my place on the Iron Throne. It's much more than that. Like, that voiceover from Rhaenyra is probably a conversation she has with Rhaenys. We know Daemon's in Harrenhal, so it's not going to be a conversation she has with him. Could be potentially Baela or Jacaerys, but the main point of me saying all that is that Daemon's going to continue to be influenced and manipulated by Alis. But it does kind of break canon a little bit, because Alis Rivers is in Harrenhal when Daemon takes it in Fire and Blood. It's just nothing is heard from her. There's little to no interaction of Daemon and Alis Rivers. So I think ultimately nothing will come of this. Like the scenes that they have of the two of them together, like there was a leak that said that they may hook up. That might be the case, but nothing is going to come of their relationship in total. Like Alis ends up hooking up with Aemond, and we know that Aemond is looking for someone like Alis, a mother type figure, because he keeps going back to Madame Sylvie, and now that kind of ended with what happened with Aegon in the last episode. So now we kind of broken down that trailer a little bit. Let's discuss some of the leaks, right? So one of the biggest leaks that have been sent through watching the posts on social media, but also people sending me DMs of compilations of leaks, is Aegon being burned. This image that I'm showing you right now isn't actually Aegon, right? We know that this is probably some soldier that just had the flame end of the dragon meet his face, right? But it's possible that Aegon, when he does get burned post-Battle of Rook's Rest, he will look something like this. Like, you gotta understand, in canon, when Rhaenys shows up, she initially thinks she's just going to be fighting Sunfire and Aegon, and she's like, I got this. This is an easy fight. Like, Meleys gets to the point where she almost rips off Sunfire's wing. Like, she's nearly killing Sunfire. So, of course, Aegon's going to be damaged in that fight. And then, out of nowhere, Vhagar and Aemond show up and bum rush Meleys, Rhaenys, Aegon, Sunfire, and knock them to the ground, sending them hurtling towards the earth. And when that happens, Aegon gets burned up in the flames. The fire's so hot it melts. This is awesome now, because it's a Valyrian steel armor. It's going to melt Aegon the Conqueror's armor to his flesh. And in canon, we don't know what happened to Aegon the Conqueror's armor. Like, he doesn't have Valyrian steel armor in canon, but in the show canon he does, and it's nowhere to be seen, right? Well, now we know it's because it got melted to Aegon too, so that's probably going to happen. That was a, leaked image that was sent out. We also had this other leaked image. This could potentially be Rhaenys' corpse. This is how she's very similarly depicted in canon, as I'm showing you right here. It's like, once Rook's Rest ends, Meleys is for sure dead, because its head is chopped off and marched through the streets of King's Landing. That's going to be happening on the TV show. I'm showing you right there. That's going to happen. That scene's going to happen, and it's going to cause a riot, right? But Meleys' corpse was so badly burned and charred that it was unrecognizable. They just assumed it was Meleys because the corpse was laying next to her dragon, but they could not verify that it was her because her burns were so crazy, right? So one of the leaks that I've been sent is that supposedly something similar to that happens, but Rhaenys actually survives the fall. Sunfire finds her and then eats her remains. It's possible, but I don't think it'll happen. Another leak that I was sent was that Rhaenys will survive the fall, and then they march her through the streets of King's Landing. Like, whatever's left of her after the battle, she's still alive, and that's marched through the streets of King's Landing as a prisoner of war. The leaker said the idea with this scene is that the Greens think it'll get the citizens of King's Landing on their side, because remember, Rhaenys busted up the floor and killed a bunch of King's Landing citizens. Then some of the last couple of leaks that I was sent about episode 4 season 2 House of the Dragon, one of them is that Moon Dancer will show up on Baela, and she actually finds Rhaenys' body, and that's what makes her want to get more hands-on with the war. When we saw that scene that happened in last night's episode, but it was Moon Dancer and Baela, and they chased Cole back into the woods. When we saw that in the trailer, where we saw Moon Dancer and Baela, we were like, oh, that was probably when she shows up to Rook's Rest, because the area that she's flying in is the Crown Lands, and that's where Rook's Rest is. That's probably not going to happen. That leak's probably not going to happen. It's possible that Baela will show up at the end and then maybe see what happens to her grandmother and report that back to Rhaenyra. I just don't think that that'll happen. There was another leak that said that Rhaenyra herself actually gets involved in the battle. Like, she flies in on Syrax and they make a couple burning swoops, and then ultimately Rhaenys and Meleys force Rhaenyra to go back behind their lines and just sit back and watch. I doubt that happens. Doesn't really make much sense. Doesn't happen canonically, and I don't think they'll do that for the TV show. But that's besides the point. I'm really excited for this episode. you all let me know what you think about these leaks down below in the comment section. Let me know if there's some rumors that I didn't address in this video that you want to chat with me about down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Please go check out my episode 3-hour-long podcast breakdown. It's linked down below in the description. Alonat, zadrizas, pusdari, iskos, daor.